cut to the chase. This is a brief clip from the YoJoe Show Podcast, where we dive into everything: politics, tech, aviation, space, science, health, and medicine. Stick around for conversation that clips right to what matters.
Welcome back to ABC News Live. We continue to follow the breaking news. Conservative political activist Charlie Kirk has been shot.
Oh, what? Who?
What
is that out?
Wait, what happened?
Charlie Kirk. Wait a minute, is this true?
Tonight, a new chapter in this era of political violence. Conservative political activist Charlie Kirk is dead, assassinated while speaking on a college campus in Utah.
This happened really just moments ago. Kirk was about 20 minutes into his speech when shots were fired from a nearby building.
Breaking news to CNN. A source tells CNN that Trump ally and the founder of Turning Points USA, Charlie Kirk, was shot at an event on a college campus in Utah.
I just started getting word just a couple of that Charlie Kirk has been shot.
This hits differently because Charlie was one of us. And Trump gets hit in the ear. Charlie gets shot dead. They came after Kavanaugh with a rifle to his neighborhood. They went after Musk's cars. They just shot 2 Jews outside the embassy. Think about it. Scalise got shot, barely survived. It's happening. You got trans shooters. You got riots in LA. They are at war with us. Whether we want to accept it or not, they are at war with us. And what are we going to do about it? How much political violence are we going to tolerate? And that's the question we're just going to have to ask ourselves. Now, Charlie would want us to put as much pressure on these people as possible. Dana nailed it. This is unacceptable and has to stop. And it has to stop now. And everybody's accountable. And we're watching what they're saying on television. And who's saying what? The politicians, and the media, and all these rats out there. This can never happen again. It ends now. Greg's right again. This is a turning point, and we know which direction we're going.
And I will say this, actually. Those people who posted on TikTok, open TikToks, calling for me to be killed yesterday, let's see if the police go and arrest them. Yes. Shall we? Because if they don't, we truly are living in two-tier Britain.
Every single one of you in this place tonight. Charlie Kirk with Jesus. I want y'all to say some thoughts and prayers tonight before you go to sleep. When you lay down by yourself or with your loved one, say some prayers for somebody that need it. I appreciate every single one of y'all. I hope y'all have a safe trip home. My name's Gavin Hancock. See y'all next time.
Our nation has also witnessed several acts of senseless violence in recent weeks, including the deaths of school children in Colorado, churchgoers in Minnesota, and Charlie Kirk in Utah. At this time, we ask you to join us in a moment of silence as we remember those we have lost.
But following up what was just said, he's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly pushing this sort of hate speech or aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions.
But I'll tell you who is a complete piece of shit. I'm going to tell you right now.
There have been a lot of swear words at the
Tim
table today.
Walz,
Okay.
the governor of Minnesota, holding up a phone in front of a rally saying, we thought we were going to wake up and find out the president had died. Someday it'll happen. Someday it'll happen. I used to say he was the biggest buffoon in American politics, but it's worse now. No political official, no elected official should be walking around saying, I'm hoping we wake up one day and the president of the United States has died. Crazy.
I'm just really glad Charlie Kirk just got himself fucking shot, because he's right. Empathy is dangerous to society. No one should give a fuck that he's dead. He said it. I'm just saying his words. All I'm doing is using his words. You can't be mad at me for using his words. Empathy is a new wave thing and is very problematic. You right. No empathy for you. Zero.
I made some stupid comments about Charlie Kirk on the day that he was shot. I said some things on Blue Sky and on Threads that I'm sorry, not sorry for, but I said them and I deleted them when it was requested that I do so by my employer. And then today, on a weekend, I'm told that I am no longer employed at Microsoft. After 6 years, building the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Department from scratch.
Do you know Charlie Kirk?
Yeah, I do.
And what do you think of what happened to him?
Sometimes revenge is a dish best served cold. I hate to celebrate someone's death, but when you talk about guns' rights and you talk about how much the Second Amendment matters to you and it impacts you, like, what do you expect? Sympathy to his family, but this is why we need gun control.
One of my friends said on social media he died in a world that he wanted.
Yeah, he said it himself. There's a whole quote that's been floating around about sacrifices were made for the Second Amendment to still exist, or something along those lines, right? It's an ad-lib, but yeah, this is what happens. You reap what you sow, and it's sad that someone died, but also, hey.
People do have free speech, but when that speech starts to impact their role as educators, which is what the memo mentioned from the Florida Department of Education, then there are measures in place to prevent that. Again, I would defer to them.
Assassination. Do you know that this is our first political assassination in the United States since 1968? Martin Luther King was killed in April of that year, and then Robert F. Kennedy was killed in June of that year. Charlie Kirk was bringing the truth to college campuses, mainly the beauty of God and country. They feared him because he was actually changing the mind of college kids, showing them the insanity of what they are being taught, the indoctrination, and the lie that it's based on. He said, when people quit talking, that's when you get violence. So he invited discussion. He also, though, lived what he preached. He just didn't preach it. He lived. He said, I'm religious, and I want you to find the happiness of God, of living virtuous, not living sin. That's not hate. He was asked if he died what he would want to be remembered for. And he answered, the courage of my faith. That's what I want to be remembered for. As a Protestant, he had a lot of courage. One of the most disappointing things, in addition to the tragedy, was if you saw the video on the House floor in our government yesterday. Someone asked for a moment of silent prayer. And according to the feedback that I'm getting, it was one political party members screaming no, and they were booing when they were asked to pray. Violence and murder are the tragic consequences, it was said yesterday, when there is a demonizing of those you disagree with.
And Charlie, more than any figure in our country, led the resistance that has restored freedom of speech to this country. And he built this movement, which is going to make sure that never, ever happens again. When my brother David died, I had a conversation with my mother. who had been through more than her share of loss and tragedy. And I asked her, I said, does the hole that they leave in you when they die, does it ever get any smaller? And she said, no, it never gets any smaller. But our job is to build ourselves bigger around the hole. We do that. We do that by taking the best virtues and character traits of the person that we lost and using discipline and restraint and practice, integrating those character traits into our own character. And in doing that, we make ourselves larger and the whole gets proportionally smaller. And we also give that person a kind of immortality because they are now living on, the best parts of them are now living on in us.
True hero. Got a hero's procession. Kudos to the police officers that joined that. It was very moving watching that, and he deserved every moment of.
Whether people want to accept it or not, he changed the world. He actually, in some upcoming video we're going to show, there were a number of rallies that were scheduled already in advance across the UK. And those then incorporated Charlie Kirk memorial recognition as well. We're talking hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions. And a lot of people in the UK are viewing his message of free speech being more important than ever. Again, in the UK, where I think in a year they arrested like 12,000 people for their posts on social media or making comments in public, things akin to learn English or speak better English or whatever it is. If you say that on the street casually to someone that's aggravating you, because
while releasing migrant pedophile from jail to make room for these grandmas making these Facebook posts. That's the most crazy part of the whole thing.
Yeah, so the notion that somebody should be able, and the UK doesn't have the same constitution the way we do. The idea in the UK was to be able to speak your mind. And that's why the monarchy, although it still exists, doesn't run the day-to-day of the country. And the figurehead of king is not, you can say things that you feel about the monarchy, you can say things about your elected officials, but more and more it's becoming very difficult to do that because of the very tight laws that everything that you say publicly can be construed as violence. And one of the things you were mentioning earlier about how the left was equating and equates often still things that are non-violence as violence. The one you didn't specifically say is speech. Words are violent or can be violence according to people with that way of thinking. And when I was a kid, we didn't look at it that way. We had a saying as little kids, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. You can.
Yeah, I grew up on that mantra too.
Yeah, you can make fun of anybody. That's not violence. It may be inappropriate, may be rude, may be offensive, but it isn't the same thing as outright violence. And that they have equated simple speech, that if you don't agree with it, in the last 4+ years, what was happening? If you spoke and said something that the masses on the left didn't agree with, you were canceled. So they erased your speech. Our current president, at one point, before Elon Musk bought Twitter and called it X, he was deplatformed. And they were deplatforming a lot of people, where they were removing their voice because they said that to speak and to say the things they were saying was violent.
Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, and watch all our content, including episode 22 of the YoJoe Show podcast.